Hey there everyone, welcome back to another look between the lines. Today we're going to go over what's still going on in Washington DC with the ongoing protests, the ongoing election drama, and of course, the monumental first launch of a civilian space shuttle currently on its way with 4 astronauts to the International Space Station. So, let's get into it. Tesla is a relatively new company. They are the sponsors of SpaceX, which is another sub-company of the rather infamous founder Elon Musk. Elon Musk first came to his fortunes when he invented and sold PayPal, and using those proceeds, he started getting into a new company known as Tesla. Tesla is a unique concept when it comes to business ideals, because here in 2020, over the past few decades, us humans have become aware of what impacts we're having not just on wildlife, but on the overall environment, from chemical compositions in the soil to the very atmosphere, and how what we do and what we produce affects all of that and the ecosystems that we live in and rely on. Tesla took this idea and started to come up with the first truly green car company, or at least that was the market appeal. And while Elon Musk is very controversial because he's known for his memes, his very unorthodox attitude, and other stunts such as appearing on a live interview smoking marijuana, stunts like this is very uncommon in the business world, and Elon Musk has used this notoriety to help kind of fuel what he has done to become a first-generation billionaire using revolutionary new ideas in transportation. Tesla started out with just one factory and relied on brand new energy credits implemented by policies under the Obama administration in order to offset the startup costs of such a revolutionary new technology. And it wasn't just revolutionary, it was very well timed. As we have come to learn more about our environments and what is now tokened as climate change, which originally started as a theory of global warming, human organizations up to national government of first world countries have begun to make movements to try and combat this. Elon Musk sees that opportunity with Tesla's design in order to finance setting up charging stations, new car designs, and factories to sell cars that were not only modern and stylish, but also utilizing these new technologies all in one fell swoop. This turned Elon Musk from being a wealthy individual from selling PayPal to being a billionaire with plans to colonize Mars. And that transition is something we can cover at another time, but what's important is to know that his efforts have finally produced fruit in space travel. SpaceX is revolutionary just like Tesla, but it's taking it to the next step. The goal of SpaceX has been to use civilian means to travel into space, to revolutionize space travel so it's not just NASA and government-funded programs that can control it. And what this will mean for international defense as well as the future is yet to be seen. However, it's really exciting because it is opening up the final frontier, which was our own world. For a little bit of history, ever since mankind first gazed at the stars, there's been mythology, religion, and other theories of the cosmos, from the Earth being flat and everything falling off to a sea of monsters, to the belief that everything beyond our world was actually the realm of the divine. And now, as humans, we have been able to reach it in the most recent century, but to be able to access it on a civilian level is a revolutionary breakthrough for the next steps that we're going to take as a species, especially when we look at what we've done with our own planet, what minerals that we've used up and what we're currently lacking or needing more of, and how much more there is in the potential of the rest of the universe, and that starts with our own solar system. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, but it's still just an exciting step because the very first rocket has launched. It has 4 astronauts on board, and they are currently en route to the International Space Station, currently used by governments, and now will be joined by SpaceX. So we're not leaving this rock quite yet, and so that's where we come back down to talk about climate change. Under the Obama administration, a lot of strides were made about not just bettering our lives, but bettering the future lives of our children and their children to follow, and so much more if we could implement green policies that could help kind of stem the effects of climate change and what we are doing to make it worse. Now, of course, any change comes with cost, and any cost with the government has to be funded by taxes, and that's why a lot of the policies that the Obama administration passed were seen as the taxes that they were, but it was for the better good. Regardless how anyone spends it, tax money goes to programs that do help us all, from your highways to your local firefighters, policemen, and government-run programs that help everyone from an individual level up to more wide-scale infrastructure programs. Government setting in policies to monitor gas emissions and to monitor soil effects of what we're doing to our water supply, water tables, and the atmosphere are something that has been adopted around the world. However, under the Trump administration, he repealed a lot of those policies to take us to a more economic approach. And that brings us to today, where President-elect Joe Biden is promising to use executive orders to repeal a lot of those changes and rejoin international agreements to help make sure that this world stays safe to inhabit for the next generations to follow us. The fundings for these programs have come from stimulus packages as well as being a part of the Affordable Care Act, which focused more on universal health coverage and making sure that everyone was taken care of on a fundamental level, and that is something that the Trump administration has made a lot of cuts to. President-elect Biden has promised to overturn these changes, however that can take time. Just like the Affordable Care Act took years of negotiation and deliberation to come up with a working program, it's going to take a long time to fix what's been broken. And so, while we sit and watch that, we need to be mindful of what's going on in the rest of the world and what's going on with our government and its policies in the meantime. Our world is finite, and that's something that we're seeing only in recent generations, as human technology has pushed us to entirely new tiers, from artificial intelligence to flight, space travel, and so much more. It's come at a cost. Our industry and our means of production and transportation, although convenient, are having a drastic toll on the environment and everything else that shares it with us. This planet cannot go on forever at the rate we're going, and whether that's 100 years or 1,000,000 years, we have an impact that we can control, and that's what we need to focus on and make sure that our government is focusing on as well. The railways that cross our entire country weren't built in a day, neither were the highways or the cities, and everything that's taken so many years, decades, or even centuries to perfect. Our environment is the same way. Trees can take several decades to grow to their full maturity, and all the life they support has their own life cycles as well. The circle of life is not just humans and what we grow and eat, it's all the plants that feed the herbivores, that feed the omnivores and the carnivores, that eventually go on to feed the detrivores. And regardless which side of the fence you are on, that's basic biology that everyone understands. And you know that animals take time to grow, and that culling a population hurts the rest of the populations that will depend on them. Any environmental shift requires adaptation, which takes time. And the same can be said about the human race. We've gone from using primitive stone tools to now going to other planets, and that's not something that happened overnight, and change will never be as fast as it is right now. So let's keep on staying mindful of what our changes are doing and what our goals are going to be as a species. Of course, government's going to have their roles in this, and that's where they're going to come out with new policies that will have a lot of side effects. You can't implement a tax on big companies without it affecting the common person. That's just basic economics. However, it's something that's necessary in order to keep things in check. That's why we have anti-monopoly laws. That's why we have rules on polluting rivers. And it's something that we need to make sure that we're still doing as we're moving forward, as we're working together, and as we are voting on who's going to push policies that are going to benefit us and the rest of the world and our future generations. And I don't mean to politicize this issue, but that is something that Joe Biden is promising to make the world a better place, to unify its people and to get past those barriers. While if you look at the protests in Washington, D.C., it's about maintaining our individual freedoms and liberties at the cost of some of the other consequences that we're starting to see that we're having an effect on. And unfortunately, that does include each other, which is really paramount with the pandemic that is still going on today. The daily cases are hitting all-time records. There is 1,000 deaths a day in the United States, and that's something that we need to really take care of, and very importantly, make sure that we don't have something like this happen again in the future. One of the biggest critics of how our current administration has handled this, as well as emphasizing the dangers of this pandemic early on, Dr. Fauci has commented on climate change, what we need to do as a country, and of course calling out the current government for not working with Biden's new team to try and make sure that they have a smooth transition. Time is of the essence. This is something that's still ongoing and will continue to go until a cure is found and until people stop spreading this. With so many dead and so many affected, this isn't something that can be taken lightly, but it's something that's being swept under the rug for politicized reasons. Only the common people are going to suffer from these choices, and that's probably a big reason why Dr. Fauci isn't calling for drastic change, but instead cooperation. We just want the Trump administration to work with the future Biden administration and their team, at least on the COVID affairs, because more information couldn't hurt either side. And without the proper preparations, President Biden is going to step into a situation that's going to be very difficult to fix when it's being started on the back foot. And that's something that we're going to have to see how that plays out, but we need to speak up and have something change so it will go smooth. Our very lives depend on this. While climate change may not affect us in our lifetime, though many experts believe it will, the pandemic is happening now, and there's no reason to politicize this to the point of refusing cooperation. So please, make your voices heard at the ballot box, make your voices heard online, do what you can, and try to help make sure that we come together so this divisive culture can end. There are issues that will benefit one side more than the other. There are issues that both sides will never agree on, but one thing is certain, the pandemic affects us all. We are all at risk and we all need this to get fixed. But leave a comment. Tell us what you think. What do you think the best solution is? How can we prevent something like this from happening, and how can we protect our future generations from facing the mistakes of what we are choosing to do today? Let us know. Let's talk about it. And please remember to hit that like button. It really helps us out and supports the YouTube algorithm as our channel grows to help us go further. And please hit that subscribe button so you know when we come out with a new video and new talking points. And as always, thank you for joining us and taking another look between the lines. Stay safe out there and take care.